water. He said
Okay,
we
all right.
should start.
2 seconds here.
Recording in progress.
In the first closed session, the city council discussed attorney-client privilege items related to the action filed by Housing First Minnesota. Staff was provided direction. In the second closed session, the city council discussed non-public health and medical data. The staff was also provided direction. All right. And we will, let's see, where did we leave off?
We left off at 9C, so we have
Oh,
9.
9D.
Yes, we'll be on 9D.
9D, and let's pick up with, did we do the full public comment opportunity on that? On everything before? We kind of did piecemeal 9.
Sure, if anyone would want to comment on anything under 9, we'd be happy to.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mark Lanterman. I live at 6936 Oak Ridge Road in Corcoran. First, I'd just like to thank staff for proactively addressing the topic contained in or addressed by agenda item 9D. I would ask council, though, to consider some slight edits to the code as written. I would direct your attention to section 4, which is titled License Ineligibility. And specifically, I would like to focus on subsection E and G. So I'd like to, if I could, I'd like to address G first and then come back to E. So basically what this is saying is when an application is filed to receive a solicitor's license, if an applicant has a bad reputation, I guess whatever that means, which could be or includes 3 complaints with the Better Business Bureau, or 3 complaints with the city against the applicant within the preceding 5 years. Okay, I get that and I agree with that. But then let's visit subdivision E, which states a conviction within, I think that's a typo there, with, it should be within, the past 5 years of the date of application for any violation of any federal or state statute or regulation or of any local ordinance which adversely reflects upon the person's ability to conduct the business for which the license is being sought in a professional, honest, and legal manner. Well, that's a mouthful, okay? I don't even know what that means. So when it goes on, if you bear with me, such violations shall include but are not limited to burglary, theft, larceny, swindling, fraud, and it goes on. I just want to point out that in Minnesota, larceny is not a separate crime. Swindling is not a separate crime. Both of those crimes are considered theft, 609.52. I guess my point is that we are giving 3 complaints filed with the Better Business Bureau the same weight as a rape conviction, or a burglary conviction, or a kidnapping conviction. I also think that we're making a mistake by trying to identify all of these separate crimes, burglary, theft, larceny. Why don't, just to make the code clear, because this is one of the worst written sentences I think I've ever read out loud. Why not just say, starting
That can't be true.
well, it's close. So, what about a conviction within the past, and I would suggest making this 10 years, not 5 years, because odds are if you're committing these crimes, you've spent the last 5 years someplace else learning your crime craft. But why not just say of a felony? Federal, state, felony, period. Instead of trying to identify all of the different crimes. Just call it a felony. But I would strongly urge you to change this from 5 years to 10 years. Again, 5 years is the same as getting 3 complaints with the Better Business Bureau. And the reason why I decided to stay here this late tonight is I also happen to wear the hat of the president of the Oak Ridge Farms Homeowners Association. And in the recent past, our homeowners have been, I don't want to sound dramatic, but terrorized by a roofing contractor who has threatened to sue half of our members. And in doing a background check on this young man, he has 11 felony convictions, including robbery and kidnapping. But they were 7 years ago because he was a guest at the Hotel Minnesota. So again, I guess I would urge City Council to modify Section 4 sub E from 5 years to 10 years. And I would suggest clarifying that run-on sentence and just simply say a conviction within the past 10 years of the date of application for any felony conviction of federal or state crime, period. So that's all I have to add.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And then, if I can ask a question?
Sure.
Eliminate G? Because that would.
Oh, no, I would keep G.
Just keep it there,
I think that's a
okay.
good idea too. My point of even mentioning G is because a bad reputation means if I'm a vendor. if
No,
I-
I got it.
What if I had 3 deadbeat customers who filed Better Business complaints against me? I don't get my license. Same penalty if I'm a convicted rapist who committed burglary in order to commit the rape. So, thank you.
Thank you.
So something to add, not to add on, but sort of, I suspect like Republic has tons and tons of complaints with the Better Business Bureau. And I bet like small companies have no complaints with the Better Business Bureau yet, or maybe not 3. So it's sort of like, I'm a little challenged on that one because a bigger company is gonna have way more complaints against them, just because Republic might have, 77,000 Minnesotans as customers, where like new startup roofer guy or gal might have just started and they're less reputable. I'm not sure how we get around that, but it does penalize people with a lot of customers. So just
point.
something to think about.
Appreciate that.
That's a good point.
You could think about,
Do we want to have this in discussion, though?
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess, yeah, we still
Sure.
technically.
At this point, Mayor and Council, we don't have anyone else raising their hand on.
Thanks, Alex.
All right, into discussion. Jeremy?
So, thank you, Mark, for those comments. That's very valuable. Maybe starting with the comments on E, I agree with the 10-year limit. I agree that it would be convenient just to list felonies, but I'm wondering if, depending upon the state, if some of the things that we might be concerned about might not be felonies. And maybe you want to include gross misdemeanors as well, so that you make sure that you cover assault.
Yeah. Domestic violence, orders for protection. I would agree.
But then we got a new list.
I guess my concern would be, are there,
But at least then it's a level of crime instead of specific.
Yeah, so you're saying gross misdemeanors, oh, yeah.
yeah, I guess my question for staff would be, are there things that fall under felonies or gross misdemeanors that aren't egregious like this? You know, I'm thinking of like, what's the DUI come across
And,
as?
So-
and that would be,
I'm gonna guess the reason it was written the way it was, it doesn't outline felonies because, for instance, you know, if you're going to door to door selling books, you won't reach a felony level conviction, but you might have 15 misdemeanors, which is why it doesn't outline the level of offense. And the reason that they don't outline, for instance, just theft is because another state might not have a theft. And that's why I think they're using that as, that's why they say shall include but are not limited to burglary, theft, larceny, swindling, fraud, and things that would be solicitor and peddler specifically related. I'm going to guess that they don't get into, for instance, rape or DUI because they may not be germane to what's being regulated. And I think that I would assume that would be what our attorney, our city attorney can kind of provide us guidance. Can we, for instance, articulate, and I think those are, which ones can we include? So
Yes.
would burglary be germane to a solicitor and peddler that, based on that? Maybe, I think we could probably make that argument. Could a DUI make it so that a person couldn't sell? I think we'd have a harder time making that. Obviously, they shouldn't be able to drive if it's within their revocation period, but I'm going to guess that I think the categories are related to how germane they are to what we're trying to regulate. When you get to topics like domestic, I'd have to rely on our legal counsel for that specifically, but I think that's why this became so muddy, as you pointed out, that it's just not trying to do as much with as little specificity as possible is what I read in it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I recognize it's your discussion. May I just
Yeah.
comment on that? Because I think I may have an idea. What if you were to include language saying felonies, gross misdemeanors related to crimes of violence, controlled substance, and dishonesty? Just kind of, and then that way the DUI, I get that. That has nothing to do with coming and peddling magazines. I would say burglary does, because how do I know the guy's not scoping out my home?
Yeah, and those are things that our city attorney is going to have to walk through. I mean, I think we can dialogue with him pretty specifically as far as what can we tie to this and not. I think, you know, some of our other ordinances have shown our willingness of our city attorney to be as creative as possible as we're trying to get there, but I think we'll have to have that directly as to what he believes is defendable in that same vein, but I think there's room for improvement there probably.
And if I could just add, the individual that I mentioned was denied a license by the Wayzata Police Department. He appealed it, went to a hearing in front of city council, and they denied it as well.
So I guess how do we feel about all the rest of this? We on board with proceeding?
Yeah,
Conceptually, yeah. I've got a couple other comments,
Okay.
sure.
if we're still doing comments on it.
Go ahead.
My second comment was related to the 3 complaints limit. To deal with the larger company issue, you could look at some kind of a carve-out. If they're accredited with the BBB, they could be allowed to have more. So if it's a company that has decided to take the relationship with customers more seriously and go through that exercise and pay whatever fees are required, they would still have a viable mechanism to proceed. The other thing you could think about doing is having that be something that is more subjectively evaluated. And are these complaints local? Are they national? How many of them have happened in Minnesota? You could try to narrow the scope that way, too.
Were the complaints founded or not?
Yeah.
We're not voting on this anyway.
No,
No,
no.
this is really a
Direction to staff.
discussion
Yeah.
understand if we want to move forward with it. I wanted to bring something that's been vetted by the League of it's been vetted by the League of Minnesota Cities as their model ordinance for cities. So just wanted to make sure, if we want to move forward with this, does this look like our model to start with? Get any feedback from the group, and then bring forward a draft, and then we would publish. It would take a little bit of time just in terms of publication, but I wanted to at least get the process started.
I'd say I'd like to, big picture, go forward with this and start hammering out some of this other stuff, but sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
My last one is on section 9, exclusion by placard. It would be nice if we could standardize .3 so that it's in inches rather than points, just because if somebody buys the sign, they're not going to know the point size.
Sure.
And if there's a way to simplify the language, having a sign that has to fit peddlers, solicitors, or transient merchants is probably going to be hard to find on Etsy.
Yeah.
So,
On what?
Sure.
Etsy.
You can find anything there.
Can't you just put one with snowmobile stickers in there?
One thing we have seen other I have seen other cities do is they do, you could purchase signs through the city, so that could be something that we could look at doing if we were to move forward with it.
If it could just say something that's, one noun, no solicitation, or whatever the proper term might be, that would be nice.
And if anyone has feedback, I'd be happy to work with anyone who has additional comments on this. We'd love to bring up, make sure that we get a lot of feedback before we finalize the draft, so.
Maybe the sign could say, beware of really mean dogs.
So I welcome any more thoughts, so please.
This doesn't affect little Susie and her cookies, does it?
No, I think there was a specific, there was something in there that kind of seemed to, yeah.
Yes,
Can I get a sign for that, though?
Just kidding.
So any other feedback you have, we'll start working on the draft, but
Perfect.
If that works for
all
council,
good
we'll
with
move
that?
forward.
Yeah.
Looks good, thanks.
Cool. Okay, we'll go on to 9, oh, did I skip one? 9E, permit technician appointment.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And on your, on the dais today, we did put a draft offer letter for preferred candidate staff. Did an internal search. We received one candidate from an interested, from staff to move forward with a permit technician position. Shauna Zuther is currently our administrative assistant, and we would, Kevin and I feel comfortable moving her into the role of permit technician, and would likely, we'll be coming back with, we will still need an administrative assistant, so we'll be coming back with authorization to hire that, but want to get started on the permit technician piece and move that forward. So we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about the position. It's in line from a job offer of where we typically.
Any questions?
Is the 9F in the same vein?
Yeah, most.
9F is slightly different.
It's an external, so it's a slightly different process.
Yes, and we have a preferred candidate, but they are, the candidate, the person we're interested in is out of the country, so we have not had final discussions if they want to move forward.
Can I make a motion to approve 9E and F?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Congratulations to Shauna,
Yes.
and thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, moving on to 9G, city administrator appointment.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you today, the council has gone through a process to select a new city administrator, and we've had interviews and we've all been involved in the process. Attached is our proposed employment agreement that was provided by David Jerome and Associates and worked through with a subcommittee of Mayor Mickey and Councilor Behrenkamp. So really, I didn't have a lot prepared for this, so sorry about that. But open to any questions that you might have, and I'm sure the subcommittee is as well.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Congratulations.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared to do this one.
No, it's not easy to talk about yourself. I was subjected to endless hours of interviews and staff interviews. It really was terrible.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all so
Congratulations.
very, very much. I appreciate
Congrats.
it. Thank you.
Okay. On to 10.
Perfect.
10A is,
Thank you, Mayor. I should have mentioned this at the
Agenda.
beginning of, with the agenda approval. Our 10A, the folks that were requesting this to be on the agenda have actually asked us to table it. They're working on a date. I believe they didn't have a firm date yet of when they'd like to bring this back. They're still trying to evaluate their options. So we do have the staff report when they're ready to come back.
we can just not take any action on it.
Yes.
Leave it till
Yep,
they
we can
want to.
just
That work for everyone?
hold it for a future date.
Yeah. Cool. Go to 10B, Police Office Radio Audio Solution.
Thanks, Mayor and Council. After moving into our remodeled space, we identified a gap in our police radio coverage inside the police department. So with this system, we are hoping to be able to install a new radio and speakers throughout the offices. In the Emergency Operations Center, the garage, patrol office, chief's and lieutenant's office. We're hoping to use the ARPA funds that's left over this year to help fund that. So we're seeking $10,507 for that project. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
There you go.
Nothing's easier to pass than when somebody else is paying for it.
That is true. It definitely makes it easy. 10C, Hackamore Road Improvements and County Road 47 Cost Share Agreement and Funding Request.
Thanks, Mayor. So I'm gonna hand this one over to Kevin.
Kevin's Corner.
All right, two requests for consideration related to the Hackamore Road improvements. Essentially, if you guys recall, over the past couple of years, we have a 75% plan adopted or approved between Medina and Corcoran for a vision of that corridor. And an opportunity came up specifically at the intersection of County Road 101 and Hackamore, and at least in our community, and that's County Road 47 as you head east. So the city of Plymouth is doing a turn-back project with Hennepin County that is is moving forward this year. And as part of that, they're doing the intersection because they're making the improvements first. So quite common when you have those 4-quadrant intersections in Hennepin County, when there's an actual project, they see kind of a partnership where they share those costs, and that's what we're proposing tonight is a cost share up to $80,000, not to exceed $80,000 for basically 1/8 of the intersection costs. And we feel that that's a very good amount to solve a problem that we would have to deal with if we were there first in our project. So that's the first ask. The second ask is to authorize WSB for $1,303 to pursue grant funding opportunities, or at least cost share opportunities, I should correct myself, with Hennepin County, and that's specifically targeted to County Road 116 in Hackamore, so the other Hennepin County intersection. We've had continued conversations with them. We have tried to do this before, and we're not successful, but we've had more recent conversations and believe it's for this amount, it's definitely worth pursuing them on a cost share agreement for that intersection improvements, which are part of Tavera Third. So we're just looking to really piggyback off of the 101 intersection conversation where they're committing funds to basically say you should be committing the same cost share to this intersection too. So that's what we're asking. I kind of jumbled that up a bit, but I'd be happy to answer any specific questions about each intersection.
Any questions?
When is Plymouth looking to get started?
I'd say probably in the next month. They would be, haven't seen a schedule, but the project was awarded. I would suspect when road restrictions come off, that corridor is under heavy construction this summer. So I don't exactly know when the intersection would be impacted. The funds essentially go to a new signal at the intersection, I should clarify.
So it's not adding lanes, this is just replacing the
No
signal?
lanes in Cork, no lanes on the west side of the intersection.
Okay.
It's really a cost share for the new signal itself. The signal will be spaced out to accommodate our turn lanes that we would be doing in a future project.
Okay,
And those signals would need to be updated if we were there first, so.
okay.
It's essentially an opportunity to partner that we would have been asking for partnership if we were there first, and this is kind of guaranteeing that partnership. So we see it as a best value. Funds are paid for out of contributions from development that were allocated to this intersection improvements.
If there was any extra, what happens to that?
Any extra?
From the contributions that were made as part of the development agreements, if we end up spending less than was allocated, does that get refunded? Does that get,
That stays in the fund for the Hackmore project.
so the overall Hackmore
Yeah,
project would
because
use
we
that?
haven't done our part of that.
Okay.
This is just like a segment of that obligation.
Okay, very good.
What's the reference that says it'll include limited street improvements immediately west of the intersection? What is that look like?
Marginal, there might be some ped rams that they prep up. So I mean, technically from the intersection, there might be 20 feet of improvements just to do the work. So it's very limited. There is no turn lane being added. So as part of, if you recall, right now, there's no right turn lane to head
Right.
south on 101. That's
Right.
not part of this. That would be part of our project. So they're prepping the signals out. They've worked with WSB, who's done that. They have all our line work. They're essentially prepping that intersection for our project. So you might see some ped ramps that kind of square off the quadrant in Corcoran, but it's very limited. I would
Okay.
describe it as signal work and ped work. Nothing west of that intersection. We'd have to pick that up with a future project on Hackmore.
So basically where the walkway is now, that's about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to 10D, which is city logo update.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As we discussed tonight a bit about our water supply planning, staff thought if we're thinking about doing a water tower, if we want to make any updates to our logo, this might be the time to do it in advance of painting something on our water tower. So just wanted to get some feedback from council. If we want to move forward with a update to the logo, really just understanding if we want to do that to get a jump start on that before we end up painting it on a water tower. I would note that the logo has a lot of different colors, so when stitching into things, there's just a lot of movement in it.
Intricate.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's good or bad, just something to note about that. So if this is something we want to move forward with, I'd look at bringing back some proposals. Just a question for council if we want to do it, if we do want to do some sort of update to the city logo.
And next up would basically be going out for like an
It'd
RFP.
likely be going out for RFP. I'd be working, the city of New Brighton has recently done work like this, and I'd be looking at other cities and pulling some information for them and proposing what that would look like. So at that point, we'd understand kind of what the costs, what other cities have seen. It's just, do we even want to direct staff time to that?
Thoughts?
My personal opinion is just leave it. It doesn't add any value to the citizens of the city. And we're just spending money to do nothing. I mean, if it comes down to the painting the image on the water tower, I'm for just leaving the image off the water tower and just saying City of Corcoran.
I'd rather have a picture than the word City of Corcoran.
There's a
Whether it's
city in
this one or not.
Corcoran, California,
There is.
called the farming capital of California, we could just steal their logo.
There you go.
I've seen that too.
That won't cause any confusion.
Is there, again, I don't want to cause any more issues like in a previous deal here tonight. Is there some we can open up to citizens for, hey, anybody got a suggestion on how we could simplify our city logo? Just an open, just a finding, just brainstorming, thinking outside the box for a minute. Otherwise, I agree with,
We tried that a few years back, when Brad was here.
When
he
Brad was here,
Sought out
he
some
did.
of the art, like the schools, and looked for partnerships for either art programs and to get some design things going, and there was really nobody at that time looking to engage.
nothing looked that good, huh?
Well, there wasn't any of the programs that were looking to engage to do it.
It's all good in theory. I thought of that too, but no one really steps up to the plate.
Yeah,
You guys got a new logo on your the police department, on your patches.
And didn't you guys do the vehicles in-house too? Maybe
Yeah.
you guys should be doing this.
But did it make you any safer? Did it protect you as an officer, and did it protect the citizens of the city in any way?
It might
I
save
would
money
say
at
that
embroidering cost.
There's a lot stronger brand identity with the police department. The old badge and patches were pretty generic, and I think that we've received a lot of comments and compliments from the community. They identify with I guess they identify with our brand more now that it's, I bet you we probably hear comments at least once a week still, and that was, at least 3-4 years.
That's just from each other, though.
Yeah, but the people that respected police officers before, it didn't matter if you had a 10-star that said sheriff on it, They were gonna respect you no matter what. The people that aren't gonna respect you.
Yep.
So,
I think Matt made a pretty good point. The presentation he had to approve of that was sometimes when you wear a uniform, and the uniform, like the lettering and everything looked blasé and wasn't cut and sort of blended together, you could hardly read it. Like it's important for identity of the police department to have that. So like, I feel like you get some value from that. And I don't know if the same would ring true for this. I'm the very last person that should have any say in this, so I'll probably abstain.
Fair enough.
I have no artistic ability. I like the way it is. But that's just me.
I like the logo as it is too. Part of me wonders if there's no harm in going out for an RFP, and if the price ends up being just too much, we just abandon it. But
I'm browsing Fiverr.com right now for people who design logos. And they're ranging between $15 and $45.
Wait, what?
you can get anything on Fiverr.
You can get anything on, so there are people.
$5.
Yeah.
he's playing on his computer while we're having a meeting, John. That's what you take out of that.
So that might be, I don't know if we can do that because we're a government entity.
We certainly could I can certainly look at options. If we just want to at least get an initial, I can bring back what maybe potential costs could be, and we can decide at that point if we want to. I won't, if we're comfortable at least getting a little bit of information, we won't spend significant staff time or resources on putting together anything without bringing back a cost estimate.
I like the basic elements of the existing logo, but I feel like you could simplify it, and it would be fine. Take out some color, make it more of an outline. I think that would be okay.
I mean, but there's more cost than just designing a logo, right? It's printed on pens and everything else we have. So every time we make a change, it drives me nuts because the company I work for, changes their logo every 5 years. And it's and we don't use printed letterhead either. We print it out, as we go. But it just drives me nuts. It's just constantly a change. And I can understand it for a business because you're trying to, it's marketing, you're trying to attract, but who are we marketing to here? Right? So, I really can't see supporting it, to be honest with you. I don't think there's anything wrong with what we have, personally.
Fair enough. Dean? Any thoughts? I know John's probably abstaining.
trying to figure out what I can get done for $5 on, is it Fiverr?
Fiverr. Or sorry, no E.
Gotta take the electronics out of this.
No, it's Fiverr.
Yeah, you're right.
Couldn't we do like a swoosh kind of deal with the city of Corcoran underneath?
We could do all
We'll spend more
sorts of-
legal on
That would simplify it.
Jessica and I thought a C with 2 lightning bolts.
We did talk about trademarking.
Jeez.
So if we're comfortable, I could spend a little bit of staff time to at least figure out what kind of it would cost to move forward with it. But understanding certainly that there would be.
The other side of it would be, we're working on getting a monument sign.
So if
Might be
we
good
do
to have it in
more-
advance of that. We're going to change something.
There you go, have whoever's gonna do the monument.
Yeah, that's a
side
good
come
point,
up
too.
with a
Can that be
design,
part
then
of
we
the
don't have to
package?
pay for anything.
I can look.
All
into
rights
that.
reserved.
Yeah,
I can look into that.
worth a shot.
If you go down that route, though, I would request that you come up with a list of everywhere our logo is currently
Okay.
and what we would be changing and how much that would cost.
Yep.
Because it's on the side of every maintenance truck, it's on the front here. You know, there's gonna be more than a cost than just we have a new logo
Yep.
that's pretty.
Well, that depends if you want to do a hard cutover. I mean, you could certainly just replace things as they age out too and not treat it like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because to your point, we're not actively trying to market a logo as part of our identity. It's just something that we're putting on things as we go.
Yeah.
Mayor Costa, just an idea I had, I'm more in customer bottoms, but maybe you can have an alternative scenario. Or alternative logo, like a simplified logo, like, sports teams have their
Yep.
main logo, and then they have like the alternate, where it's like, that's a simplified one that you put out in key spots.
That's exactly how I was thinking of it. Yeah.
So like a maple leaf kind of deal, or?
That's the
That
wrong.
one's taken.
Oh, yeah, our
Elm-
citizens would
elm
love
tree?
that.
Box elder.
Cattail.
The cat.
Box elder
Big
bug.
sign, but like, just
Or
a
big sign.
simplified version, so that you can keep your baseline stuff the same, and that's more of your features that you're adding, if that's.
Yeah, I
You could
like
just
that.
put City of Corcoran staggered.
Or you could, or it could just be lettering too, yeah, I mean, that's, but.
Or you could adopt the patch on Matt's arm.
Have all sorts of choices.
So are we okay with Jessica getting just a broad number
Yeah.
for us and some,
And
looking
I
at
will
a couple of
look
those
into
ideas?
The monument sign piece, if that's something that we can incorporate. I'd talk to Kendra to see it, depending on the development agreement, if we have some flexibility there.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you.
we think we're all okay with that?
Yeah, as long as I can get a list of would be affected.
Fair enough.
To your point, Alan, I think we weren't initially anticipating taking logos off things necessarily when we were just bringing up the idea, but certainly would want to understand what the total impact would be.
For sure.
I think the part where we hit snags was whenever you know, if you're even looking at making, whether it's street signs or things like that, this one's really hard for people to work with. We were able, I think the best example of success is the jackets, but they had to modify it even on your City of Corcoran jackets to get it to kind of work correctly. So when we say, you know, if there's a sign going in or anything like that, most of the places that we send it to say they can't really work with it, so.
Yeah, but if I go out to somebody in the general public and say, we're modifying it because we want to print these nice jackets for city council, you go, why are you giving them to them anyway? You know what I'm saying? That's their response going to be, so.
But if they charge you $10 more because they have to redesign it whenever you use it, that's probably the argument.
Well, and I think that the application is more on street signs and public markings of, you know, whether you're talking signs, buildings, whatever else that you need to identify as a city, we're having to work around on every instance, and it comes out a little bit different, so.
It's
We wanna
probably
be
on Park
efficient.
signs where we see it most, right? We don't have it on any street signs.
And we don't currently have park signs either, so this would be helpful in understanding if we're going to put it on our park signs, what that looks like as well. So we do have some upcoming,
I don't have a park sign on Wildflower Park,
I don't think so.
we do
I don't
not
think
yet.
really?
No,
We're talking
that's-
about it.
We're talking about it at the Parks and Trails piece, so that was something that Parks and Trails would be interested in, have it. If we are to modify it, it'd be helpful to have that before we put in our first signs.
That's coming out of the Nichols Fund, isn't it, Val? Parkside.
Okay, 10E, which is the labor negotiation team.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. We will be beginning our labor negotiations later this year as our labor agreement expires with our police officers' labor union. And so we'd be looking to see if anyone's interested in serving on, as part of the labor negotiations team. In the past, we've worked with one or two members of the council to keep everyone apprised of what's being asked and what our approach would be to each part of the negotiation.
And what's the general timeline for this that we're looking?
So I think we're hoping to start conversations in June. Our goal is to get everything wrapped up. We don't know how quickly or slowly this is going to go with so much changing in the law enforcement landscape. So typically how we've done it is having, two members from the council have an initial meeting with, how we want to kind of start the conversation, and have an initial kickoff and find out where both sides are at and figure out come back and kind of figure out where we can go and what we think the general direction should be, so.
Can I ask a question on that too?
Sure.
Mr. Mayor? When a agreement is up, is that, does the police department act under the existing agreement until something is done, or do you guys all walk out on December 31st and we have no police department, or how does that work?
The existing contract remains in effect. Typically what you'd run into is if there are adjustments, back pay or other things kind of working backwards.
Oh, okay. I always have said, every year, I'm like, I'm not gonna negotiate against our police department. I don't wanna push back on that. It's not an easy thing to do, but, I think I can be a part of that.
That'd be great. I would, if it's okay with the rest of the council, I'd throw out myself and John as the subcommittee there, or the, whatever we want to call it, the negotiation team.
I did it last time, so I think we only had one last time.
Yeah, it's varied. We've had one or two depending on the.
Do you wanna do it again?
I went teamed up with you last time.
I did a 3-year contract last time. You can outdo me and do a 4-year.
Oh, it's a lifetime contract.
We've got to rate the contract on turnover over the contract period.
Each one of them get like, Pat, or Mahomes, kind of.
Oh, my God.
10 years, 250 million.
It was enjoyable, I tell you that.
How long would that last?
Was?
It was enjoyable, and I learned a lot about, the contracts and the police union, and, who's union, who's not union, and how it flows through the city. So it's a good learning experience, whoever wants to be on it.
Yeah, I go ahead and do that.
I think we'll go forward with that then.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. 10F, which we have added to the agenda, and I didn't forget it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council. We were made aware, Mayor McKee made me aware of a community project funding opportunity through the Congressman Phillips' office. And so the Congressman is looking for projects within the district to potentially fund and bring forward to the federal government. And so we looked at it internally, and one of the projects we think that we could probably move forward with would be getting some additional funding for a water supply construction project. And so I'd like to propose we move forward with requesting the amount that we could request up to would be $4 million. And I'd request that we go ahead and move forward with that, and that we would commit to a local match of at least the $4 million. And we're planning on that, but if there are other funding sources available as we finish the water supply planning, we'll certainly look for them, but we feel that we'd be able to at least match at least $4 million for that. And so just really resolution and then applying for the program.
Any questions?
Can we apply for more than one?
We could apply for more than one. I think that they wanted to know our preference order from the applicant.
Yeah.
We were an organization that wanted more than one.
There's also a very short deadline on this,
Short deadline
like,
of tomorrow.
yeah.
Oh, I was thinking like the park, Central Park projects, there's a lot of stuff we wanted to do there that maybe, I don't know how onerous the forms are to fill out, but if we could throw that in as well, maybe we could get lucky and do some,
I don't,
that project?
just from the conversation, I don't know that it's particularly likely that we'd get two if we even get one.
What are the strings that are attached?
So we have to use it within this, we have to use it by the end of 2023, October, or September 30th of 2023. So we have to use it within this next fiscal year. And that seems to be the most,
Really all I could.
the most that I was able to, I did ask if there were any additional contract language or anything like that that we needed to have, and that was not relayed back to me that there would be additional.
There's no reason not to do it. There's no way we'll get the money. I'll just,
Dayton got $4 million.
we don't vote the right way in Corcoran. We won't get the money, but
Yeah.
it's worth a try.
Right.
Yeah.
Can't hurt.
I would note that we'd likely would have to do a federal, our audit expenses might go up slightly if we were to get the money, because they do, if you get over $750,000 from federal funding, no matter what, you do have to have them look at, there's a slightly different reporting, but that would not be, it
It's a
wouldn't
good
be.
problem to have if you
signi-
get $4 million.
yes.
Yeah.
That would, we'd get $4 million, and the cost would be marginal. you know,
When I say vote the
Probably
right way.
5,000.
I mean, according to the people.
Right,
voting.
who are making the decision, yeah. No, I
I think we
gotcha.
vote the right way.
I gotcha. Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-36.
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, then I think we are, through we already, staff reports, if we have any?
We don't have any additional
We got
staff
with the
reports.
2 closed sessions, city council schedule.
City council schedule, we have, next meeting, we have several final plat and final PUDs, and financial performance report, and Rush Creek Reserve County. I would note that Mayor Petrie is not in attendance, so we'll be acting Mayor Bodema. With that,
Mayor Bodema?
acting mayor.
Oh, I just heard mayor.
For that day.
Acting Mayor Bodema.
We need to get a
for-
timer for the meeting.
Do we need to change, if I may ask quick, on the agenda on April 28th, the second item, do we need to change that?
That's a great question.
I just
will
saw that, so.
Let you know what
Okay.
we may have to.
Yes.
Good,
Oh.
good
Yep.
thought.
Yes. So we'll adjust the schedule as needed. This is just in a draft format.
Yep.
I had a request for staff.
Yes,
Going into May,
yes.
I think we've got one, maybe two new preliminary PUDs. I think we had commented before we wanted staff to try to itemize code requirements versus the flexibility that's being asked specifically, and also what the PUD benefits are that would go above and beyond code requirements. So if that could be factored into those, just so that it's clear for the planning commission that first meeting.
Perfect. We will work on trying to get that incorporated.
Thank you.
What two are those?
Right now, we have Walcott Glen.
What's the other one?
And then the other one, the Karen Meadows, I apologize, ended up on May 28th, but they were not, didn't end up getting the preliminary, everything completed to be on the April meeting, so they would be on the May Planning Commission and Council on May 26th. So it would be Karen Meadows preliminary plat.
And that's not PUD though.
That's off 19.
It's just the preliminary plat. Yep, so it's off of 19. It's the site at
That we've
one
been
point-
talking
That we've
about?
been talking about, it's just the residential lots. They aren't moving forward yet with the rest of the
Okay.
land.
Are they asking for any flexibility?
No, it's a straight
Straight
preliminary
zone, okay.
plat. They may have a variance, and we believe that there needs to be a variance, so that was part of the delay because of the, it was related to the lot, or the street frontage, I believe, if I recall. So that, like, there is a variance related to that one.
Okay.
Where's the Pulte development at?
That's the
So
wall.
that Pulte
Yeah, where-
development is at the corner of 101 and Hackamore.
Oh, okay.
They had a concept plan 3 months ago.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen the name.
Yeah, I think they just came up with it.
And can I make a comment?
Yes.
General? I think the way this group is coming forward to the council with this 5-acre and 35-acre plot division, it's so much more helpful to people to come to council with napkin ideas first, especially if it's like something we haven't seen before, or it's slightly non-conforming, like they get down the road like a year.
Right.
And even with these guys, like, the first time we saw the Wright Hennepin thing was 6 months ago. And they keep talking about that. They've been working at it for 4 years.
Yep.
And they had to have known that it's not gonna be well received. That's an extreme example. I don't understand why they didn't come earlier in their case, but there are other people that are way down the path, and then we're seeing a preliminary plat, and they put a ton of work into it.
Yep.
People, it should be a reminder when someone comes to us or you with an idea and you say, you should just run this by council so you don't have to put a ton of work into it, because we can deal with napkins and thoughts and ideas with no timetable and like guide people to like, nah, that's not a good idea, or yeah, that's a great idea, we need that, or whatever. Because,
Well, they didn't come with a sketch plan, but they came to planning commission and then you dropped it before they got to council.
how long ago? That was like a year
It's
ago.
over a
Yeah.
year ago.
But they keep saying they've been working at it for 4 years.
Well, probably in their office, yeah.
Yeah, well, that doesn't count for, they
Life,
thought about it at a party 10 years ago, so they get to put it on a presentation that they've been
lifespan
thinking
of a
about it.
substation is 20, and this is a 72-year-old substation. They should have been working on it 20 years ago.
Well, yeah, but that's just a microcosm of
Yeah.
other things that come up, like people come here and it'd be nice to have people directed, go spend 10 minutes talking to city council before you go and run all
save a
these
lot of
ideas
time
to
ahead.
engineers and everything. It's just crazy.
For sure.
But I do feel like it's hard at that initial stage because we can't say no before they go through the whole process. I feel like it's very limiting. Like, it's hard to push back on things at that level in a way that reflects the real difficulty they may face.
Well, I think the thing is that as a council, you really need to be ultra, you need to be out there and tell them, right? Because like, I look back at some of the ones that came through and they were controversial things that we voted down, but in the initial, we either gave a positive or a neutral feedback, right? We weren't, no, this isn't gonna fly right off the bat. You know, when we probably had reservations internally, we just didn't vocalize them.
Can we get some guidance from staff or maybe John about what level of doubt is it okay to express at those early stages without it becoming a problem legally?
Okay. I can ask that question and get you some information.
Cool. Sounds good.
Can I just ask one last
Yeah.
question? And I probably spaced this out at the end of our discussion, but 8B, what date did we table that to?
The April 28th.
That's
meeting.
okay.
So that will be on the April 28th meeting, will be the
Okay, thank you.
preliminary plat. At this point, I believe they have submitted for final plat as well. That will be, that may be on the 28th as well. I
Can it be
need
the
to-
same day?
What?
Can it be the same day?
It can be the same day. We have, we do that sometimes for smaller subdivisions. So if they have everything that they need to, I'd want to confirm with Kendra that we actually have everything we need to, but that could be a possibility, just to
Sounds
let
good.
you know.
Perfect. Anything else?
Mr. Mayor, just, I told a few of you, I am starting a new position on Monday. So my goal is to be at every 7 PM meeting. I'll be employed down by the Mall of America at a semiconductor company. I work till 6:15 on Thursday evening, so 45 minutes back to come here. I'll continue to do planning commission. I'll do council. Work sessions are gonna be one of my stipulations that I want to talk to them about, and I've got a couple of weeks to come up with that and such.
Sounds
So
good.
I'm excited for the new opportunity, and it's nice to get back in.
Ah,
I think by Minnesota law, you have the right to attend.
Yeah.
council meetings.
I've called League of Minnesota Cities, thank you for that, and they're gonna get back to me, but I've been asking, and it's new to them to have somebody
Yeah.
serving in this position.
Yeah,
so.
I'm sure they can
you're
point
not
to
gonna,
statute.
you're not gonna smell like silicon wafers, are you?
Should not.
Those are odorless.
It'll be, yeah.
It's not like vanilla wafers.
The stench of silicon wafers.
I do have one more question. Did that solar group that came in here, did they provide information like they said they were going to when they left? They were gonna provide information to staff to share with us.
I will double check to see where.
Are you
we're at.
talking the
Are you
one that
talking
was gonna
about
go on
the-
Public Works?
Yeah.
The Public Works, I have not seen any additional information from.
I think they
them.
gave up
Follow-
on putting it here.
I can follow up.
Yeah, but I
with
think we
them.
left them with, if you have information to leave with us, we'd love to see it.
Yeah, we did.
And I have not
don't think we've heard
seen
yet.
anything. I
Okay.
can follow up with them now.
Yeah.
If they're not that interested, they're not that interested.
Don't knock yourself out.
Real nice.
Alrighty.
Anything else?
Think we're good.
Perfect.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.